life is just such a game. It's just such a game, and we're all maddening ourselves with trying to play the game. And I get it. I know there's parts of this game that are inevitable, but giving over most of your mental real estate to things that stress you out, that really have no say in your existence, really, is wasted energy. Welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. I have such a great interview. I met a new podcast bestie, Miss Alexandra Simms. She is the host of Cancer Cured Me. Yes, you heard that right. She is such a sweet human. I cannot wait for you guys to listen and really hear about her journey and really her experience with getting breast cancer in 2017, what she felt led up to that diagnosis, the way that she was living her life, how getting the diagnosis of cancer really changed her mindset and has completely transformed her life, and how she is on fire to really share with you that it is that you have one opportunity to really get your life right. And if you are spiraling down a world of people pleasing, doing everything for everybody else before yourself, and really putting your health on the back burner, it is time to wake up. And she's here to do that with you. So I'm going to let you into the episode. Stick around, hear how you can meet Alex, and enjoy the show. I feel like a good place to start is just letting us into a little bit about your story, what life was like before 2017, where you're at now, and how the podcast and your mission all have come full circle.
Of course, I would love to tell you all of that. So before 2017, when I got my diagnosis, I was living this sort of perfect on paper lifestyle. I was the good girl. I was the people pleaser. I grew up, my parents separated when I was only 3, and I became like another parent to help my mum out. And I very much modeled myself on keeping everyone happy. And I didn't know that was a bad thing. I didn't know it was a coping mechanism. Obviously, as a child, you do what you do. And I very much grew up as this, my mum would say, oh, she's my happy girl. And that's how I saw myself. And I thought, so long as I keep everyone happy, I'll be safe. Everything will be fine. And I went on to do, my mum remarried and was brought up with a stepdad who I got on really well with. But he very much taught me that you must go to university, you must do this, he told me how it needed to be. And so I did that because obviously wanted to be the good girl. So off I went to university. It was amazing. I studied international marketing with French. I lived in Paris for a year and studied in France for another few months. It was all lovely. And then I came back and got this great career. I worked in events. I was an events producer for years, over 20 years. I worked in a fantastic company, had so much fun. I had met my now husband while we were at university. He wasn't my boyfriend. He was like my best friend in university. So we have I don't know if you want me to tell the story because it's a very romantic story, but we basically were friends. And then we got together when we were 29, having known each other for all those years from university, and then got married really quickly, like within a year. So yeah, all looking perfect on paper. But when we got engaged, my mental health went like that. It was like I finally met the person who made me feel safe, who I was meant to be with. And I fell apart. I had depression. I was in a bad way. All my kind of masking, everything I've been doing all my life fell away with him. Clearly, I didn't know this at the time, but I look back and go, oh yeah, of course it did that. Of course, because finally you were with someone who you knew was the right one and you let everything fall away. And I just went on this sort of journey of, again, all perfect on paper. We had this wonderful wedding. We went off traveling for a few months together. We did all sorts of lovely things. We went on to have our children, which is the best thing ever. We've got 3 gorgeous kids. And yeah, it was just all right. But I knew that I wasn't meant to feel all the mental health stuff that I felt. I was like, why am I not feeling this? Why am I not feeling the happiness that I know is there on paper? Why do I not feel it properly? And I would always be, I had postnatal depression but no one ever saw that apart from my husband. Everyone just thought, oh yeah, she's great. Like she's always fun and she always has everyone around to her house. Because again, it was people pleasing, but I didn't know that. So that was where I was. I ended up, after I had my son, I became a freelancer. I was working for myself, doing events, doing big corporates and everything. And and then I completely burnt out. And that's when my diagnosis came.
What led you to that point? Like, what was, if you can recall the breaking point where you're like at getting the medical care? Did you get really sick? Like, what was it that was the check engine light?
Do you know what's so interesting? I didn't know I was heading for burnout and what was about to happen. I had no idea. And my diagnosis came purely by accident. Like, there was no reason for me to have had the mammogram that I had. So the story goes, so when I look back from that diagnosis, so for example, we were in Florida with the kids like a month before I got this invitation to have a mammogram. And I look back at the pictures and I can see that I'm not well. And I remember that I used to sleep all the time. I remember that I just felt rotten. I didn't feel good, but I had no idea, because I had this theory that I would never, ever get cancer because no one's ever had cancer in my family. I certainly wouldn't get breast cancer because I breastfed all my kids. And I was like, I've done everything right and I am safe. I will be fine. And then we had this thing in the UK, they just call it like a postcode lottery, like a zip code lottery. So they sent me an invitation at the age of 46 to go and have a mammogram, which normally here you get invited when you're 50. So obviously if you choose to go and have one privately, you can. But as I said, I never thought I would have cancer. So why would I ever have gone and had a mammogram? Wasn't even on my radar. And I went, and in fact, I didn't go. I missed it because my son had a sports match. So I missed it. And they called me and they said, was there any reason why you didn't come? Did you not want to come? And I said, oh, no. Like, it wasn't a problem. I just couldn't make it. And they said, oh, well, can you come? Well, like, we're here for another day. Can you come? So I came and I just didn't give it a second thought because, again, I just never thought I'd have cancer because that's just not who I thought I was. And then, a week later, got this letter, and it said, we need you to come back in and we highly recommend you bring a close friend or family member with you. At which point you go, oh, that doesn't, why would I need to bring someone with me?
What were you thinking at that moment? Like,
typical me. I remember the exact moment the letter had been sitting there and I hadn't even picked it up until the evening. And my friend was picking me up to go to an exercise class, like a Zumba or something. And I opened it and read it and went, huh? And I think I probably just went, no. And I got in the car with my friend and I went, I've just opened this letter. And I told her and she went, oh, it'll be fine. It won't be anything. Because of course she was probably thinking, shit, that's not good news, but she was saying, oh, it's fine. And I'm thinking, but I just went to this class and didn't think anything of it. Anyway, bad luck. But the week later appointment was on my husband's birthday and he came with me for the appointment. And he always said, worst birthday present you ever gave me, because they did the biopsy there and then. And they just said, we're 99% sure it's cancer. We'll wait for the results, but we're 99% sure it's cancer. And yeah, it was like, I didn't know at the time, but that was basically the turning point of my life. And the bottom fell out of my life, but actually went on to be a massive, incredibly positive turning point because I was one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, I can't even imagine getting a diagnosis like that and being overcome with so much, right? Your brain wants to go so many directions, most of us, and not the best direction. You created an entire movement and a podcast around how your cancer cured you. Not my cancer is cured, but cancer cured you. Can you give us a look as to what that entailed? Like, once you got that diagnosis, how did the mindset shift? What happened there?
Yeah, it did. It shifted everything. And I always worry about saying, oh, who am I to say cancer cured me? And now I'm like, no, I really own it. Like, people have been really supportive of that. They're like, yeah, I love that you call it cancer cured me. Tell me more about that. Because it did. Because as I said, looking back on my life now, you go, God, like, I was just not living in alignment. I was not living authentically. I was not really knowing who I was. I was being who everyone else wanted me to be, right? So I didn't know that when I had cancer. All I knew was I had to get through this cancer because, of course, my 100% focus was on my children. They were young. My son was 4 or 5. And I remember having to tell the school, can you just check that he's okay? Can you see that, is his behavior okay? And actually it did really badly affect my middle daughter. And she can only talk about it now. And obviously now she realizes that it was all quite positive. But at the time, it was very hard for her. But I think what happened was I went to the cancer journey and all the treatment and everything I went through then. It's actually really lonely. Like, it's a really lonely experience because everyone's around you wanting to support you, but you're the only one who's got this cancer inside you. And you're just like, get this out of me. And I just want to, but you can't just go, okay, it's done, it's gone. Like, let's move on, because then you have all the radiation and all the treatment and everything. God, I just remember going for this radiation every single day and it burns, right? It's really horrible. And I had it because it was on the left breast. And so it's where the heart is. So they make you do this breath hold technique. And you're taught to hold your breath for quite a long time so that when they zap you, it doesn't get your heart. And I keep saying, God, that must be where my love of breath work came from, because I just got really into, oh, okay, I can hold my breath for longer than I realized. But they would go off and I used to think, oh my God, I'm so alone. Like, they'd only be a couple of rooms away, but I hated it. And I just got so low when I came out the other side, because it's like, yay, ring the bell, like you're clear and you finish with your treatment. But actually, it's like people say after a funeral, when you've lost someone, then everyone disappears and forgets that you're then going through this huge grief process, because the funeral gives you that focus. And that was how it was for me. And I remember just sobbing and being at home and thinking, I should be so happy right now, but I feel I'm so lost. And I worked out that the cancer had shown up to stop me from living this life that I've been living. And I think what I was crying about and feeling so broken about was that I had been living this life that wasn't really who I was meant to be. And I needed to actually take this time to figure it out and start having some natural healing. And there was a lot of stuff in my past that I'd never truly addressed, trauma and all that stuff. And as I know now, 7, 8 years later, the cancer probably only manifested as a result of unhealed trauma. And I think people are that's my opinion. And I think it's one that's shared by a lot of people. I don't think the cancer showed up by chance. I think I was incredibly lucky. I think I was given this dose of cancer that was found. It was like a miracle that was found, because I remember the physio walking me when I came around from my operation, taking me for a walk and said, do you know how incredibly lucky you are that it was found when you were 46? Because if you hadn't had your mammogram till you were 50, you'd probably been dead by now, or you'd be riddled with cancer. So I know that probably my mum up there was looking down on me and going, right, she's not sorting herself out. Let's drop a dose of cancer on her. And then maybe she will sit back and take stock and just stop doing everything for everyone else and actually think about what's right for her. Because by this stage in my life, I'd stopped I'd not got my big career. I'd moved into what I call a mum job. So I was very much just fitting in jobs that work with the kids, holiday times. And I wasn't really doing anything that I really loved. It just wasn't great. And I don't know, I just think it was always meant to be. I was always meant to go on this journey. And then I just started very slowly working out that I needed to get to the bottom of this and go on to lead a completely different life in a very positive way and teach other people that you don't have to. Of course, I know I'm one of the lucky ones and I have lost so many people to cancer, as we all have. But sometimes life just gives you that lesson in a really hard way. And for me, it was that. And I began with, always loved alternative therapies, but I didn't really know where to turn. I started with things like reflexology, and that was amazing, and learning about the meridian system. And then I started having Reiki, and then I loved that. And then I became a Reiki healer, and things that I'd never really thought would ever happen for me. And then I took all my years of experience in events production, and I now run these amazing wellness retreats, and I take people on healing journeys for a period of time. I have a lymphatic drainage massage business, and we do all the holistic stuff, which I now believe can really, truly keep you well and help you heal. And I'm just continuing. I'm going into trauma-informed therapy and root cause therapy. And I'm doing so many things now, because I'm like, I don't want anyone to have cancer to realize that they haven't healed their shit. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. We call those things here woo. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are a little bit off put by that.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I love how much it's helped me in my own journeys, right? I have great friends that are Reiki therapists, and the therapist that I used to go to before just regular therapy, she used so many different modalities that were not traditional, that were so much more impactful for me just
Yeah.
as a self-development tool and just understanding who I am versus just standard talk therapy that I had gone through, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I think everybody has to learn to find their healing in their own way. But these modalities really resonate with me too. So that's amazing what you're doing. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, breath work's been the biggest one. I don't know if you're an advocate for breath work, but that's a game changer for me, as it has for so many people. On my podcast, I don't think there's an episode when I don't say, do your breath work. And I did breath work. And so many things have happened. And I ended up in hospital not that long ago. I had a massive anaphylactic shock, not knowing I was allergic to a shrimp. And I've had it loads of times before, but apparently you can develop allergies at any time and become anaphylactic. So this was really severe, horrific. But I don't get afraid by this stuff anymore. I was like put in an ambulance and whisked off, and I've seen it happen. My nephew's anaphylactic and his airwaves close over. But all I could think was, just keep doing your breath work. Just keep doing your breath work. And all the way to the hospital, kept doing my breath work. And I arrived there and obviously wasn't in a good way. But instead of my throat closing over, my ear canals had closed and the roof of my mouth had done all this funny thing. And when I got in, they were taking all my sort of blood pressure and all this. And they said, we can't understand because she's completely normal. Like, there's no stress on her body. Her blood pressure's fine. Everything's fine. But she's clearly an anaphylactic shock. And they whacked in the adrenaline, the cortisol to stop the reaction. And then the consultant came in and he looked in my mouth. He said, in over 20 years, I've never seen a reaction like that. And he got everyone in the room. And he said, because it had only gone into the roof of my mouth and it hadn't hit the back and it hadn't hit my throat. And I said, well, I was doing breath work all the way. And so I think, and they think it was the breath work that kind of saved me. And I'm like, incredible. See, breath work, it literally can save your life. No, I just think I'm a complete convert to all of this stuff. I'm not saying that it's right for everybody, but it really resonates for me.
It's incredible how much breathwork has such an effect on our stress and our central nervous system. And I've been recently watching some really great YouTube interviews with specialists and doctors and people who are big on different modalities, but they're still in the medical field, right? They're studying all this stuff. And it is incredible how much breath work, overlooked tool for managing your stress, because time and time again, they're showing how important it is that when you are getting into like stressful situations where you are feeling anxious, because I tend to err more on the anxious side than the depressed side, if we're going to choose one of the two. And I find that I have to take those breaths and come to just like, okay, breathe through it. If I just become present and mindful of the in and out flow of my breath, I've seen it happen on my Apple Watch. I can bring my heart rate down 10 beats. I can calm the physiological response in my body. And I mean, I have the chills. That's incredible. You're able to just settle your central nervous system down.
Yeah, but like you can set it, you can see it on your watch. It's like brings it down. It's amazing. And the body is so clever, as we know. It was made with everything it needed. It was made perfectly, but we just abuse it so badly. And as we know, all this outside, all the environment now, all the outside influences, they mess with that system, right? But if we just get back to those basics of things like breath work, that's what it was all designed for. We were made, it's so clever, the way we were designed. Yes, it's incredible. Yes. Yeah.
Now, as part of your journey, you had mentioned early on about how people pleasing was huge for you, right? Mm-hmm. You were always putting others' needs before yours. You got this diagnosis in your mid 40s. And, I feel like at that point, you're pretty ingrained with your behaviors and people pleasing tendencies. How did that shift for you? Because I have a lot of women over 40, and this is a lot of my life's work is saying, like, we got to move you from the back burner to the front burner. And that is not just your health. That's not just your movement and your nutrition. That is setting boundaries. It is putting you at the top of your to-do list and pouring into your cup. And we're still talking about the oxygen mask theory all these years later still. But I find that working with women 40 and older, we're still here. Like, we're trying, but we're still here. So I'd be fascinated to hear what that looked like for you in making that shift. And if it was easy and you find yourself falling back to it.
So hard. Hardest thing ever. Hardest thing ever. Because like you say, it presents in women because we're made that way, right? We're made to be carers, to be maternal, whatever you want to call it. We are designed to look after everybody. And it's a really hard one to let go of. And you don't want to let go of it. I never want to be a crappy mum to my kids. Like, they will always be the most important thing in my life. But it's things like, I won't come downstairs until I've done my breath work and a bit of meditation. And I will do that first. And they know that. And they're like, oh, yeah, she's doing that. And they accept that. But for people outside of my family who I was still prioritizing, that's been a lot harder. And in fact, I remember one of the first interviews I did on my podcast was with a phenomenal woman who actually, her business is with the Enneagram. She works with the Enneagram and she's a fierce, amazing woman. And she started talking about people pleasing. I went, yeah, I've been overcoming people pleasing. And she goes, how's that working out for you? She said, and I would look at her as a total boss woman, like proper, as you call your podcast, boss bitch. I would really think that's who she is. And she went, no. She said, even now it's really hard for me. And so she was giving me tips on things like making it a little bit more comfortable. We talk about boundaries and just, I'll say no, but don't recommend someone else. But then I just recently did a whole episode on boundaries with a boundaries expert who was insane. It was probably one of my most popular episodes because everyone wants to know how to have a boundary without hurting people's feelings.
There's a boundary expert. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boundaries with Elsie. Look her up on Instagram. She's amazing. And and I reached out to her because I really wanted to do this episode on boundaries because a lot of people have been asking me about it. When it turns out she lives 5 minutes down the road from me.
Oh,
I had no idea. And it's a brilliant episode because she has these very simple techniques. And she just talks a lot of sense. In fact, I won't do it justice if I give you the tips, but listen out for my episode.
Yeah, link it up in the show notes. For sure.
But it's really hard. It's really hard. It's something 100%. I'm a different person in that respect now. And the people that I probably did it with the most, I've been able to have those conversations with them and say, look, I know that I always seemed like I was really happy to do this and I was happy to do that, but actually I wasn't. And I've really shocked people and broken their hearts almost because they're like, oh, I thought you were. And I said, well, I am, but I need to have other priorities. And that's mainly me. I can't do this for my health because it causes inflammation, doesn't it? It causes inflammation. And then the inflammation in the body leads to dis-ease and cancer and all the things. And my mum died of Alzheimer's and two of her sisters, one of them's still alive, but she's very unwell with Alzheimer's. And it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I just know so much of it is this inflammation and not living authentically. And I know there's all the stuff that like the insulin resistance and sugar and all that other stuff. Now they call it diabetes type 3. But I watched my mum. She was the most incredible woman I've ever met in my life, but she was 100% people pleaser and she was my role model. So I just thought, well, I'll be like my mum and everyone will like me. So it's really hard to let go of that.
Yeah, but really what I geek out on now, Alex, is the fact that because we are awakened to those patterns, we are changing generational traumas by showing our kids that is not the way that's not what we're here for.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So your mom I'm sure she is like celebrating the fact that you are like, you're breaking the patterns.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what I mean when I say I think she was the one who saved me and she was looking down going, right, here you go, sort it out, break the pattern for all of us.
Totally. What do you define as living your best life now? Because more women need to hear what it's like to put yourself first and what you're into and what you value now and how you live and lead your life, how you take care of yourself. Just give us your boss bitch recipe.
My stuff is so simple now because I think we go through a lot of our lives going, oh, I need to, like I did. I need to get the job and get the degree and that's what made it. No, none of that made me happy. None of that made me happy. What made me happy was amazing friendships, which really nourished my soul. What makes me happy on a daily basis now that I do for myself is I go for a walk first thing I get in the daylight, obviously do a quick school run, and then I have to get in the daylight. I've done my breath work already in the bedroom, skipping a section. Breath work, I squeeze a whole lemon with tepid water and I drink that because I know that's then going to flush me and hydrate me. And I literally cannot, like, even I take it on the school run. Other people take coffee. I take lemon juice with water and that works brilliantly for me. But I get outside. I'm lucky enough to have a dog and to live really close to beautiful fields. And when I'm in those fields, that is a spiritual experience for me. I feel so connected. And I know it's what everyone says, like, get outside in nature, but it's really true. And I just want everyone to experience that, even if they've just got a park around the corner, whatever it may be. Because then, I used to always have a podcast on or music in my ears, and I have nothing. And I have my phone on airplane mode, and I'm just with my dog. Oh my God. And I just notice everything. I've suddenly noticed there's little bunny rabbits in the field, and that makes me cry. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff is so nourishing, so amazing. And then when I've done that, I can get on with my day. It's like I have a protein breakfast, like everyone tells me, protein breakfast, balancing my blood sugars. That's my big focus now. I definitely will. God, I was a total sugar addict. I was a chocoholic all my life. That doesn't go away either. People pleasing and chocolates.
You're not wrong.
But I'm balanced now, right? I'm balanced because coming through the cancer just really quickly. But when you come out the other side, I was instantly in menopause and it was really hardcore. It was horrible because you have to take this tablet called tamoxifen, which you're supposed to take for 5 years, and you get symptoms like, whoa. And that was actually worse than the cancer, to be honest. So I only took mine for 2 years and my oncologist said, you know what? Your quality of life is more important. Let's get you off them. And it was the best thing. And I'm so happy that we did that because, I went on to explore all the natural stuff and it's been an absolute game changer for me. So
it really is. And one thing that is so underrated is just getting outside and going for a walk. And you said, it's just me, it's just my dog with me, but it's also just you with you. It's you with your thoughts and you're marveling at just
absolutely
what's outside. And it sounds crazy, like, okay, Diane, go hug a tree. But sometimes I want to hug a tree.
I do have trees. I do have trees. And do you know what makes me really happy is also, like, I still have these wonderful friends, but the friends that I attract now are like into all my woo stuff as well. So I'll go with a friend and she will hug a tree too. And I love that.
It really is just
friends who hug
grounding.
trees.
Exactly. You just feel really connected to the earth. And I know that sounds crazy, but you feel connected to the earth.
No, it doesn't.
You realize there's so much more to life than all the stuff we stress out about, and really how life is just such a game. It's just such a game, and we're all maddening ourselves with trying to play the game. And I get it. I know there's parts of this game that are inevitable, but giving over most of your mental real estate to things that stress you out, that really have no say in your existence, really, is wasted energy, and it can cause incredible health issues, like really terrible health issues.
I'm living proof. It's not that is disease right there. And I just don't think I was ever grounded in my life. I don't think I knew what grounded meant. I was just, whoop.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember someone doing a Reiki session on me before I became a healer. And she said, I can't ground you. I cannot ground you. She said, I can ground anyone. I can't ground you. And I was thinking, I don't even know what that means. And now I think, no shit.
Yeah, you were spiraling. That's probably why. It's like trying to get that energy calibrated is difficult, because you probably couldn't even do it, right? Like, I know living in those highly inflamed states of high stress and worrying about what everyone's thinking and people pleasing and just not finding myself anywhere on this list of priority. I was an anxious mess. I was eating my feelings and drinking my feelings and numbing out and doing all these terrible things. So,
100%. And I didn't know anything about, now we talk, it's quite a buzzword, isn't it? Nervous system regulation. But oh my God, my nervous system, I can't imagine the state that was in.
Yeah. Wired and tired is what I call it, right? Like living on coffee, it's doing nothing. and you're still exhausted. And I see so many women come to me in that state. And it's my first priority is just like, we got to unwind that beast. But as there's many layers to that, and it doesn't.
Right. Oh God. Yeah. It's a journey. It's all a fun journey.
Well, what an incredible story. What are you working on right now? You've got this amazing podcast. You just got it off and going. What is your vision and what are you up to? We need more. I need to hear about these wellness retreats. I'm like, we would be such great friends.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, God, if anyone's in the UK, oh my God, the retreat that I've got planned that's coming up in March 26 is insane. I've got some top breathwork practitioners teaching and yoga and Pilates and Ayurvedic food with our retreat chef and all this lovely stuff. EFT, I don't know if you're a tapping fan with the EFT and matrix reimprinting and so many things. And yeah, fabulous people. I won't spoil all the surprises. So if anyone's in the UK, message me because it's going to be insane. I've booked this venue, which I cannot believe I've managed to secure. So that's exciting. And I'm also about to start my training in Ayurvedic medicine. So this is a whole new thing. In fact, it starts tomorrow. I'm training to become a practitioner because again, I love the natural therapies and the guy who teaches it, he's amazing actually. And he's just written a book on the Ayurvedic approach to cancer and he believes anyone can heal themselves from cancer. And I went to see him speak and the audience was just full of people standing up saying, yeah, I healed myself like 6 months ago. I had stage 4 and like literally, and all doing it through this. As we know, food is such a huge part. Nutrition is such a huge part of our health piece and keeping our body free of disease. So I'm doing that. I'm doing more of my breathwork practice and I am, keeping going with the podcast. Love the guests that I've got coming up are really exciting. In fact, he's coming to speak on my podcast, the Ayurvedic teacher, Dr. Sam Watts, who is, you'll see, is quite big on Instagram, but he's brilliant. And I'm one of those people in the human design world. I'm a manifesting generator. So
makes sense. I'm a generator.
I don't do one thing. So I don't do one thing. And I used to beat myself up for that and go, oh my God, why can't you just be really consistent and stick with that and stick with that, like that and ADHD. Of course, I meant to do loads of things and not beat myself up for that.
Yeah. But it's your gift. And so I think because you're aware of it, now that you are aware of your human design, you can lean real hard into that, right? Like I had my human design reading done. I had a guest on, actually, she's interviewing me for her podcast today, which is funny enough that we're having this conversation, but I had a meeting with her to go through my entire human design chart specific to me. And that rocked me. That rocked me so hard. Like I got off that call and I sat there and I thought, this woman who has not known me for very long, other than just a couple transactions on the internet, literally felt like she gave me a instruction booklet to who the fuck I am. And I mean, I get the chills talking about it because it was a game changer for me. Like I leaned really hard into brand change that I was looking into and just so many little quirks that I thought, does she have cameras on me? Like just telling me like, I bet you're this kind of person. Like it based on these numbers on your chart, like it means that you probably do more of this than you do this. And I'm like, wow, this is incredible.
It's amazing.
So, yeah. But I love that you're weaving that in too.
Yeah. God, I wish I had. I'm wondering who your guest is who's going to talk about human design because I did an episode on human design as well.
Yeah, Dana, she's great.
Oh, this was Tracy Hill, who is also fabulous. And yeah, I sat there going, oh, she talked through all the types. And you go, yes, because my children, I've got one of each type. In our family, we are one of it. And apparently most families are all the same.
Right.
Nope, not in my family.
Funny.
And my daughter, my eldest, is a reflector, which is only 1% of the population.
I think. Is there projector is another one, right?
Projector is my other daughter, but reflector is the 1%, and they have no energy centers of their own. Sorry for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, but they have no energy centers of their own. So she's just constantly just receiving everyone else's energy. So her work in this world is to work out what's hers. And that's exactly who she is. Because I used to think, why is she so bothered about everyone else and telling me what's going on all the time? Because she feels it instantly. And I know we can all feel energy, but like off the chart. So yeah, human design is an absolute game changer, as you say. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
It is an instruct. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That and the Enneagram. I'm like, I didn't want to
Yeah.
believe any of it, but
Yeah.
the more that I looked into it, the more that I read about it and just did my own diving into information, I was
It's
like,
incredible.
okay, this is what's happening here.
Yeah. It's
I'm gonna lean
crazy.
in. Totally.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, I love that. I love that you're doing all that. It's brilliant. Yeah. See, this is the thing. And when you open yourself up to this whole other world, it's like you say, oh, why didn't I find this earlier? Well, I think I wasn't ready to receive it earlier. I'm only ready to receive it all now. And now it's just lovely. And I get to talk to gorgeous people like you.
Likewise.
What a job. I love it.
I know. This was so much fun. Now, as we close, is there anything that I didn't ask you or bring up that you would like to leave the conversation with that maybe I didn't come over that you're compelled about or convicted about, right?
Oh, thank you. Because I'm such a talker. I probably told you way more than I ever should have done anyway.
No, this is great.
Do I often leave anything out? No, I just think my message to the world is always, I had cancer, so you don't have to. Literally, don't do what I did. I don't wait till it gets this bad. And funnily enough, we were talking off air. One of the guests on my podcast this week is this incredible cancer survivor. And I say survivor, he's living with it 10 years into his 3-month prognosis. And he said exactly the same to me. He said, don't wait until something like this happens to just live your best life, to live. And when we say live, what all the things we said earlier, just eat well, move well, get in nature. He says all the same things. And he has outlived every single expert who's ever been involved with his healthcare. He said, I just ignore them all now because they are all baffled that I'm still going and I will outlive everybody. And I think, yeah, he's the perfect example of what I talk about. It's just, don't wait for this stuff to happen. Just live your best. Plan the trip. If you think, oh, one day I'm going to do that, do it now. Just do it now. Because life is so short. Yeah.
It really, truly is. Yeah. And this conversation is such a great gift and reminder to everybody. Even though we hear it time and time again, and we probably see all the memes and the reels and everything, and like, live your best life, live for you. It's just another reminder to exactly that. Is to take your 100%. Life by your hands and make what you want of it, because if not, it might be forced upon you sooner than later. And we don't want to be living like that, for sure.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, where can everybody find you if they're like, oh my gosh, I love this woman, because they're going to love you. Where can they find more about you? Find out more.
Thank you. Yeah. So the podcast, as we keep saying, is Cancer Cured Me, which is Apple, Spotify, all the normal places. And my Instagram is also Cancer Cured Me. So yeah, you can find me there. And I do a really fun newsletter. So you can click on, all the links are in my show notes, and you can sign up and get that and hear about all the things that I'm doing on there. So yeah.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for being a guest today. And we'll plug everything up in the show notes so everyone can find you as well. And I look forward to meeting with you again. I think we're going to meet in a couple days, so we'll talk more soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was so much fun. I loved it. Loved it.
That was
thank
great.
You.
All right, you guys, wasn't that a fantastic episode? She is my new BFF, my new podcast BFF, and I can't wait to be a guest on her podcast tomorrow, which will probably be out by the time you guys are listening to this episode. So we will link both of those in the show notes so that you have them both to check out my episode with her. And make sure that you check the links in the description and the show notes as well to connect with Alex, to find her podcast, to follow her on Instagram. She's doing some amazing stuff in the world in terms of really trying to get us to live our best, healthy, and hottest lives ever. And I couldn't be more happy to have her on the show. So make sure to check out those notes, and I'll see you on the next episode.